You guys, I have encountered my first real stinker of the year. The best thing about this movie was the trailer. Oh my gosh, you guys, I cannot believe what I saw today. So Love Hurts was on my list of most anticipated for 2025, and that was based primarily on the trailer that I had seen, which was, to me, pretty funny. The choreography looked pretty cool and solid. The comedy looked pretty funny. Unfortunately, the funniest moments in this movie are what was depicted in the trailer, because this movie, thank goodness it was like only an hour and 15-20 minutes long, because I was very, very close to getting my butt up out of that seat and walking out. But I looked at my clock and I said to myself, there's only like 15 or 20 minutes left. Surely I can stick it out. It didn't make anything any better. I didn't give a crap about the characters in this movie. That's really unfortunate, because I like Short Round. I can never remember how to say his name. Ki Hugh Kwan or something. Whatever. Short Round. He's Short Round to me. He will always be Short Round to me. I like him. I thought he was really good in Everything Everywhere All at Once. But boy, he wasn't so great in here. Nobody was all that good in here. Ariana DeBose, she was not convincing in here. I did not buy into the relationship between her character and his character, the love that they had for each other. It was just not. Hold on a minute, my dog. Just a second. Come on, Levi. Come on. It wasn't convincing. I didn't believe it. Her acting was wooden most of the time, especially during the romantic / emotional scenes. Maybe it's just because, I don't know. I mean, in real life, I know that she is gay, so I don't know if she just can't convincingly play attraction to the opposite sex, or if, for whatever reason, her acting abilities have just gone down. I liked her in ISS. I thought she was fine in there, and I've liked her okay in everything else I've seen, but this one was just like, what the heck am I watching? And I'm starting to wonder if there was a lot that was cut out of this movie, because it felt pretty rushed, but the writing just, It's not just that things were cut out. The writing was shit, y'all. It was so bad. It was an action I can't even form words right now, coherent. And I've had all day to think about it, and I've been angry about it all day. This is an action comedy, but the action isn't all that compelling. It's very obviously choreographed. You know how sometimes action is filmed in such a way, it's just carried off in such a way, like fight scenes and things like that, especially martial arts types fighting scenes. The way it's edited, it's very convincing, and it makes it look real and rough and raw and just so believable. Real. I already said that. But with this one, it was so obviously choreographed. Like the times when people would duck when someone was behind them, and the lunges and the punches and the kicks, and it was just like, it was boring. Y'all, it was boring, and it wasn't supposed to be boring. And I think it didn't help that the story itself is not, the basic premise, it's okay. I just jumped right into how much this movie sucks. The premise of this story is that Short Round plays a character named Marvin, or Marv, and he is a successful real estate agent. He loves his life, but he has a violent background that those close to him don't know about. His brother was like a crime boss, and he was basically his brother's assassin, his brother's hitman, or his brother's heavy, or whatever. He was his brother's thug, and he got away from that life. And the reason involved this girl, what's her name? I don't even remember her character's name. Rose. Her name was Rose. Wow, I can't believe I remembered that. Him leaving that life revolved around some trouble she got into when he was trying to protect her. So he left that life, completely walked away from all of that, and became a totally new person. So that premise, that setup is fine. But for whatever reason, the blocks, the building blocks of putting this thing together, just it was not convincing. The comedy wasn't all that funny. It fell flat. Some of the side stories that were going on, like there are these two guys that are going after him, and they have these dumb little conversational tangents that are supposed to be really funny. Ha ha ha, you know. I mean, if it was executed well enough, it could have worked, but it didn't. The stupid little discussions between them. One guy, his wife has left and he's trying to win her back. So as they're going from place to place to place, trying to find Short Round, he steals this teddy bear from this guy because he wants to give it to his wife. And they have these little, his partner and him have these little bickering fights about what he needs to do to win his wife back. And he's never going to, it was just like, it didn't work. Then there's another storyline where like Short Round's assistant or secretary or something, she works for him. He's her boss. She's going through this sort of depression thing and she just doesn't like her life and she wants to leave her job. And then and I don't care that I'm spoiling it for you guys because this movie sucks hard. It's terrible. Anyway, so she meets this guy that has come after Short Round to try to kill him. And then she and this guy strike up this love relationship right away because while he's passed out on the floor and she thinks he's dead, she picks up this book of poetry he's written and she starts reading it and she reads it out loud to Short Round over the phone. And then he wakes up and they have this discussion and then there's just like instant love. And then she's going with him on his travels to try to catch Short. I mean, just like oh my gosh. Oh, it was terrible. I took nothing but negative notes. One of the first one I wrote was punched in the face, but no mark. Okay, I could have forgiven little silly stuff like that if this movie had been fantastic, but it wasn't. So, you know, he had pretty much hardly any indication on his face that he'd been in a fight all day long. Well, by the end, yeah, there's some blood and whatever, but one of the first fight scenes, and he was hit repeatedly in the face, and there's like nothing. You don't see any bruising, no swelling, no nothing. It's like, oh, okay, all right, that's okay, well, whatever. The first thing I wrote down has nothing to do with the movie, just kind of a gripe of mine. He was talking about how when he bought his house for his own house, he said, for the first time, I had something that was truly all mine. And the very cynical part of me said, the cynical part of Sin said, no, it isn't, because the government can come take it if you don't pay your dang taxes, because it's really the government's. It's not yours. You can pay it off. And if you don't pay taxes, property taxes to the government, it's not yours. They'll come get it. So that's a little ranty spiel on my part. I'm so pissed about this movie. He gets this very significant hand injury right in the very beginning. It hardly seems to cause him any sort of problem at all. And by significant, I mean significant. Knife through the hand, significant. That is significant. And he bandages it up and it bleeds, but it doesn't stop him from fighting, and effectively fighting, by the way. And also some of the whole story with Rose, she had been away for a number of years and living sort of like underground, away from anybody that knew her because her life had been spared. And she comes back in town and somehow one of the baddies is just able to magically find her apartment. Like, she's not even like, how she's been trying to hide. She's got this master plan in place. How could he just magically so quickly find where she lives? That was stupid. There was also this really dumb cameo thing that went on with one of the twin brothers. You know, there's like that show Property Brothers or something. I'm pretty sure that was him. One of the twins was in there, or maybe both of them playing the same character. That was a weird cameo that happened. Oh, and another thing that was really, really weird. So it's an action comedy. And you know, sometimes when you have action, a lot of times you have violence that is happening. There's fighting. Sometimes there's death, but it can still be comedic. There can still be comedy. Like Lethal Weapon is a perfect example of an action comedy. Companion is a perfect example of a black comedy. It's got violence and killing and all that stuff, but it's very comedic in some parts and it's done very, very well. Heart Eyes is a rom-com slasher. It's done pretty well. That mixture of those different genres works. Indiana Jones is action comedy. This movie is action comedy, but the genres, like the tones, they don't fit well together. The comedy, number one, doesn't work very well. And then sometimes it goes dark, like dark. pretty explicit deaths of certain characters, one of them being a pretty important person to the MC. So when this happens, it's like it's like this weird, just throws this weird feeling on top of what had been kind of a slapsticky, goofy comedy up till that point. And then all of a sudden we've got a boba straw through somebody's eye and they're dead. And it's a very grim, serious scene. And it's like, it didn't work. Nothing about this movie worked. Nothing. The trailer worked, but the movie didn't work. The movie is terrible. This is going to end up on my list of worst films. It might be number one. I know we've got 11 months of the year left. I was feeling pretty good about 2025. So far, none of my movie-going experiences had been crap. I wasn't angry after watching any of the movies I've seen so far on the big screen. I wasn't hugely disappointed. And so I had considered that a win. Yes, some were better than others. Okay, I realized that Flight Risk and Wolfman are not masterpieces, but I enjoyed them. I didn't hate them. I wasn't angry. I wasn't tempted to leave early. This movie is just like, well, at least I made it more than a month into the year without huge disappointment. January was fairly solid for me, but yeah, I've run into my first stinker. Let's hope they will be few and far between, but Love Hurts was a catastrophic waste of my time. The only good thing about this waste of my time was that the movie itself was short. However, it was still a waste of my time. Sometimes I'm so baffled at how god-awful some movies can be, and this is one of them. It's just like, I don't get it. Okay, I have ranted long enough about Love Hurts, but I'm still pretty annoyed by this film. I was so annoyed by this film that I was on YouTube earlier today, and I saw Real Shift's latest video, and he was talking about how excellent this movie was and how great I'd read the thing. I was in a meeting. I'd read the headline, and for some reason my brain just latched on to the misconception that he was talking about Love Hurts. And I went on there and I'm like, this movie was terrible. I almost walked out of it. And it wasn't until a while later when he responded that I realized, oh, he's talking about Hard Eyes. That movie's a masterpiece compared to this one. Oh my goodness, you guys, save yourself the annoyance. Save yourself the negative feeling of having negative feelings attached to someone like Short Round, who is such an adorable person. I hate that I couldn't enjoy this movie, but I just can't. Yeah, I don't have anything good to say about it, really. Nothing substantially good at all about this movie. Okay, I'm going to stop. I got to get back to work, so I will talk with you guys later. Bye.